The idea behind the show is simply asking guests what they would tell a stranger on a plane if they were sitting next to them and the stranger asked them for advice.
The scenery is passing very fast, but the seer is constant. The one who's seeing is the same.
Let me appreciate you for asking a question that I haven't been asked after 2,500 or so interviews over the years.
Is you have to drop the ego, which is everyone's greatest obstacle.
In 2008, Grant and I had been married for 4 years. I was pregnant with my first child. The economy was collapsing, and we were on the verge of losing everything financially.
And so where I'd like to start, first of all, because some people wouldn't know this part, Ken, I mean, you know me, Ken, after enough interviews, I usually get the guests to tell us about themselves rather than me read a bio. But what I think I'd like to do today is, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, but also how you know Janet? Because I know you guys have a really cool bond and synergy as well. So are you able to maybe start there, Ken?
Okay. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. Right now I'm in Japan, so I'm calling from your future tomorrow morning, and tomorrow morning looks great. So I'm an author. I have been an author for 20 years, and I think Janet, I have known you for 7 or 8 years.
Actually, wait. No, I found out on my birthday in Tokyo that you and I have known each other for 11 years because
no kidding, really?
My first course, remember my first passion test cert in.
Yes, of course. Yeah. You know, after like 4 or 5 interesting synchronicities, we bumped into each other, and Janet has been the first person to say, I'll get you what you want. And she delivered what I wanted, which is to work internationally. So you're witnessing the results of what I wish for my Christmas and birthdays. And Janet said with a magic wand, Ken, I'll give you that. Wow. So Janet is a super incredible teacher, mentor, and a friend of mine. And she's a creator of Passion Test. So I don't attend many people's seminars, but Janet is one of the very few that I attended personally, you know, from day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And I so enjoy every minute of my time in her class. And she teaches self-love, passion, and all sorts of things. And she's the incredible creator and connector of the movie Secret. You know, she initiated the whole thing. Rhonda Byrne was her student, so she is really the legend. And also, you know, she's teaching globally. That's another thing that I admire her for. She just came back from China or Thailand or Japan. I don't know where you are. You know, we need a world map of where Janet is. You know, so I'm so happy to see you and Corey. I just bumped into him in Phoenix, and just, you know, he has this incredible magic of making people relax and then make you feel that you're the most important person. So I really appreciate your presence, Corey. And if you are Corey's friends, you're my family now. So I'm so excited to be here with you.
Wow. So Ken, you just you did, I think, both my introduction and Janet. So I guess we're done. I'm just kidding. But thank you so much, Ken. So absolutely humbling. And I think that speaks for your character, that whenever I asked you about yourself, you started talking about us and, you know, and sharing our journey and the things that we've been doing. So I think that just speaks for who Ken Honda is. So thank you so much, Ken. Janet, I mean, I guess I'll kind of flip the switch. If you wanted to share a little bit about yourself, and I guess you might be able to talk to the side of how you know Ken or about Ken, but yeah, I'll just kind of pass it over to you.
Well, you guys might not know this, but Ken has written over 100 books. And who has written over 100 books? And not only he has written over 100 books, all of them, and if not all of them, are bestsellers in now all over the world. I'm sure many of you have heard, raise your hand, Happy Money. I mean, it's now known worldwide. And when I came to Tokyo, one of my facilitators said, you have to meet my mentor, Ken Honda. and he started telling me about this guy named Ken Honda. And what I love to share with everybody about Ken was that, so Ken rolls up in, I think his but was it a BMW black, really cool, big,
Yeah.
gigantic car to meet with me, gets out of it. And he's wearing, you're not wearing so much color today, the most colorful Hawaiian shirt, long hair, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. This guy is truly unique. He's what I call a unique because you go to Japan and truly what I've noticed many times, especially when I'm walking in the train station, is that the men wear white shirts and they have ties, or a red tie, a blue tie, black pants or blue pants. And then Ken Honda gets out of his car and I'm going, oh my God, I love him at first sight, truly loved at first sight. And what I love about Ken is he took my program. So he signs up for my first passion test certification course it was in Tokyo at the time. And he says to me as he's, in my class, he goes, would it be okay if I left for 15 minutes today? And I said, well, what do you need to do? And he said, well, I'm giving a course down the street, and I think it would be good if I dropped in and said hello. I swear to God, you guys, I said, are you kidding me? You're giving a course down the street. You're in mine. He goes, yeah, it's fine. I have my other people that work with me and everybody's good. And then I said, well, can I go with you? And he said, yeah, you can come. And I said, so we made a time, during my course when I knew everybody else would be fine. And we go over to his course. And walking into his course, I started crying because it was the most disarming, loving energy ever. And you didn't find that at that time in Japan, the most disarming, loving energy. And these were people that had been mentored by Ken. And to me, the people in the program and who they are, and I know all of you know what I'm talking about that are here today, says so much about who their mentor is. And he was all about love. It was so clear. And I just went, okay, he's my guy. Whatever he needs, I'm giving it to him because this is someone who's going to spread, that fairy dust all over the world, which he's doing, which he seriously is doing. And, Ken, what I love about you is that you are so deeply good and kind. You are so kind to people and just so soft. And the way you teach is so simple, but it's so profound. And they say that the simpler it is, the better it is. And truly, in your case, it is that way. It's just everybody gets it. Everybody loves it. They walk away. They've got the goods. And I just, I'm so proud of you. I'm just so proud. He's one of the top Mind Valley guys now, the Mind Valley program. And now he's out all over the world doing his thing. And he's still, like, when you mention his name in Japan, do you know Ken Honda? It's a good name to drop for all of you. If you go to Japan,
they'll take you for lunch.
Ken Honda? Yeah, exactly. Like Ken invited me to Corey he goes, hey, do you want to come to dinner with the princess, one of the princesses of Japan? I said, are you kidding me? Let me think about it for a millisecond, right? And not only was it with one of the royal princesses of Japan, this dinner with about 100 people, but they were the 100 of the top dentist, the top artist, the top they were all the top, and it was Ken who had invited them and put this whole thing together. And I'll tell you, I thought, pinch, and I was the only American, so it was really fun. Huh?
He was almost hugging our princess. The security guy was so uptight because we don't even shake hands with the princess. So Janet is so open, like, hi,
And Corey, you're just like my instant buddy. And I love what Ken said. You didn't really hang out that much, but it was this instant connection. And instant connections happen all the time when you're open. Because there is no other, right? You realize that, oh, I meet no one but me. And because you're just so open and you're just that love and that light. And that's my experience with you every time we talk. It's just this love bubble happening all the time. So I'm really honored to be here with both you wonderful giant men, huh? Great,
Oh,
great men.
amazing. Thanks so much, Janet. And so what I want to do is I want to dive into the work that both of you do. And I will say, Ken, this is kind of an endorsement for your work. And at the same time, I'd love to talk about the new book. So I know in
Thank
Happy
you.
Money, yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for this new book because we both have kind of put out parables at the same time. And
Yeah.
but your first book, Happy Money, I think I've shared this with you on a previous call, but Arigato has changed my life. And
Mm.
it not only changed it, but measurable. Now, with a business, we can argue what other things did you change and what other things were you doing differently. And also, as you grow, of course, each year you go forward, you have new clients that can refer you. But honestly, Ken, I practice arigato still to this day. Heidi, who's with me, we were going through a drive-through the other day, and I just literally said arigato when I used my debit card, Interact card, and I literally felt the energy and pushed it out to the establishment that I was able to afford to buy something. And I say arigato all the time now. And the last 3 years, our revenue has doubled every year. And that's one of the biggest things that I've done differently. It sounds crazy almost that one little word could make that much of a difference. But I would love to get your take on that in terms of maybe stories you've heard from people. Like I'm sure you've heard since you started sharing that a lot of people have had success stories just with that word. And can you tell us a little bit about what arigato is all about when it comes to money?
Yes, and I think Janet can jump on this because I introduced my mentor Wahe Takeda to Janet, and Janet was so excited to just meet him and learn from him. It's been 7 years since he passed, which is like amazing, so fast. And Wahe said he's one of the wealthiest individuals in Japan. So when I asked him the secret of money, he says, "Arigato your money. Thank you money." And I didn't get it. Like, what? Thank you money? And then he said, when the money comes in, just say, bow, take your hats off to your money. And then, thank you for coming visit me. Just please stay, at my house comfortably. And then you can stay here as long as you want. And when the money leaves you, that means when you pay bills, when you pay something, and also bow again, thank you, arigato your money, for staying with me. And then just say, thank you, come back with your friends, and come back quick. And then you can just send it off with appreciation. I thought it's very silly. It's almost like kids thing, But as I kind of studied with him, I learned the depth of deep appreciation because without us knowing, he just guided us into this world of appreciation. Whatever you appreciate, appreciates. So when you say thank you to money, money grows. When you say thank you to your beautiful relationships, they grow too. So he just taught us so many things in just very, very simple format. So that's what it is. And Janet, maybe you can jump in because Janet and I wrote ebook called Moral Up, which is maybe Janet can explain better.
Yeah, I don't think I can explain it better, but I can explain it as I know it. Ken, I was so taken by Wahe after I actually tricked Ken into being able to meet him because when I first sat down at dinner with Ken and my facilitator Toyokazu Saruta, Ken starts telling me about Wahe because Ken's so excited about his mentor. And as he's telling me these outrageous stories. One of them is that he said, Janet, Wahe has a candy factory. And when all of the workers are making the candy, they're listening to children singing Maro up, arigato, 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 arigato. And I said, what is that for? And he said, well, Wahi says that when the workers are happy and they're making the candy, then they put that happiness into the candy. And then when people eat the candy, they get happy. Arigato candy. And I loved the way Wahi thought. And one of the things so I'm sitting there, I said, tell me more. And so Ken's telling me all these stories. And by the time we're done at dinner, I said, Ken, I have got to meet Wahi. I've got to meet him. Ken goes, well, I don't think so because Wahi's really busy. I said, Ken, I have got to meet Wahi Takeda. I mean, you can't tell me all these stories without having me meet Janet. I'm like, Ken just like, Janet, I'd really love to, but he's just really busy these days. And I said, okay. And he happened to mention that my publisher happened to know Wahi Takeda. So the next day I had a meeting with my publisher. And the first thing I did when I walked in to our meeting was I said, and Ted, who was my publisher at the time, I said, Ted, I must meet Wahi Takeda. He said, you want to meet Wahi Takeda? I said, yes. He goes, just a minute, walks in the other room, calls Wahi and says, tomorrow morning at 8:00. And that was the beginning of a love story because God, Ken, doesn't it make you want to cry when you think about Wahi? Wahi passed when he was, I think, around 82, but he had the energy of, 100 people, and he was lit. He just had this big, gigantic energy. And I loved going to see him, and I'd sit with him, and I have all these interviews. I'd sit and interview him because he was just so fabulous. And one of the things that was so simple that he said to me that I never will forget, he said, I'm grateful 1,000 times a day. He said, my whole life is just gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Now, Wahi was the most successful, what would you say, Ken? He invested in small businesses in Tokyo, in all of Japan. The most successful guy, had a ton of money. And on his birthday every year, and this is another story that Ken told me, Wahi gave every little child that was born on his birthday a big gold coin. And I said, and so when I was interviewing him, I said, Wahi, why do you do that? And he said, because when you give a child a gold coin, they feel that they're very important, and every child should feel important. And I mean, I just loved Wahi. And all of you guys, what's so cool about Wahi was his program was called Morrow Up, and it was basically seeing the good in all things. That's the short version. And he had all these different ways to raise the energy up, Morrow Up. And one of them was to go to temples, because you know how you feel when you go to really beautiful temples and spiritual places, or another would be to walk in nature. Another would be to follow your passion. He had these 10 ways, but he said, if you want to just jump to get to the bottom line of it, then be in gratitude. Because what you'll notice, one thing, it's free. So if any of you are feeling stuck right now, or you're feeling like, God, I can hardly get out of bed for this interview, or my life totally sucks, I hate it, I can't do this, it's too much, or the money's not coming, one really simple practice is, and even if it's, okay, thank you that I'm still breathing. And just sit right now wherever you are. Thank you for the light that's on so I can see, or thank you for that I can sit. Thank you for my knees, my eyes, my nose. Thank you that I can breathe. Thank you that I can look at Ken, Honda, and Corey and Janet. And thank you that I can have all these beautiful people that are like-minded here. And just make your life one act of gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. What happens is, notice when you do that, you're not capable of thinking a negative thought. And so what you're doing is you're raising your energy up. And you're raising you out out of that dark little, stuck place that you're in. And if you do this continuously, then what you're going to notice is that you more and more you open. And the gifts are always there. The gifts are always coming at us, always. Nature's always gifting us. But when we're contracted, when we're shut down, we can't see the gifts. We can't say yes to them. So this is a really quick way, one of the fastest that I found to shift that energy and just open it up. And, this is something that Ken lives this. You can see that Corey lives this. That's why Corey went, yeah, thank you, money. Thank you. Corey, you can even take that money out and give it a little kiss. Thank you, money. And even when you pay your bills, right? Remember when you pay your bills, I love paying my bills. Thank you, money. Thank you, right? Because everything's everything's just energy. So thank you, Ken, for introducing me to really one of the most important people that I've ever met in my whole life, person that I've ever met in my whole life, which was Wahe. And you're responsible for that with your beautiful, beautiful stories and understanding of Wahe.
Well, Ken, Janet gave me a good segue when she said the beautiful stories. You have a new book out with a beautiful story around it. Can you tell us a little bit about the new book and what the story is? I mean, it's totally a departure, I think, from Happy Money in a lot of ways, and still about wealth. So, can you tell us what the new book is all about? Oh, I think you're on mute, Ken.
Yeah, so I modeled Wahe and put his character into the book. So it's a fiction book. I wrote a few fictions and I sold a few million copies. It's almost like Tuesdays with Morrie. And also I combined the story of Celestial Prophecy and The Alchemist. Those are the two favorite books of mine. And it's about a grandfather who leaves 9 letters to his grandson. And one day he passes and his lawyer just put package to his grandson. So this 20-year-old K receives a package. And in there are 9 letters. And each letter has a title. The first one is synchronicity. The second one is decision, intuition, action, and work. So in the letter, the grandfather said, "Okay, I'm so sorry. I donated all the money to charity. So even though I was a billionaire, I cannot. You're not going to get a penny from me. But instead, I left you 9 letters. Go enjoy the world." So this boy receives a package, and he's strictly instructed to open when this is the right time to open. So some of my students just did exactly the same with this boy. And so when the right time comes, they read the chapter of the letter. So like synchronicity, decision, and they really enjoy it. We sold about 100,000 copies in Japan, and it just came out from India, UK, Australia, and US. So.
Wow. I love how you just casually said that, the previous books that you mentioned, we sold a couple of million copies. I mean, it's a really big deal. It's like not many people get to experience that as an author.
That's true.
I think that's an important follow-up question, Ken. What do you think has made that possible? Like, why do you think readers resonate so much with your work? Because again, obviously you've continued that pattern with books, and that's not common. Not a lot of authors have that connection with readers. So what do you think it is that's allowed you to resonate so much with the people that read your work?
Because even though we live, to 80s and 90s, we have been so separated from each other. So, it used to be like we lived with our grandparents. Well, at least we visit them, or just they're not so far away. But I think the last generation, we started moving. So like we lost touch with our grandparents. And our grandparents, even though they're not super successful, they have some wisdom. So, as we grow up, I think our previous generations, we just listened to our grandparents saying like, life is this, money is this. So we got some learning and teachings from our grandparents, but we lost them. So people want to learn from elderly or people with wisdom. So instead of just listening to their grandparents, they just pick up my book. So one of the fun ways of gifting from older generation is like in their 70s, a lot of people bought my books and just send them to their grandkids and with a note, all what I want to say is in the book. Read it. And then, they save a lot of work. And then if you have any questions, let me know. So my book is such a great initiator for the grandchildren and the grandparents. Just start talking about life in general. So grandkids ask them about, hey, grandpa, what do you think about this money, thing? Or can you tell me about your synchronicities? So they start talking because they lived for 70 years and of their life, and then they get to share what's most important for them. So I'm so proud of that they have a deeper connection with generations apart.
Amazing. Well, Janet, since I've talked about Ken's book, I have to say, The Passion Test, I mean, 2007, is that when it first came out?
Yeah.
So that was a book that I discovered, like no joke. I can't remember if it was, there was this book place that used to be near my house, and I used to love going every Sunday. It was like a flea market, but it was the book lady, they called her. And every time I went, I always bought new books. I said, I'm going to feed my mind today. And this was after I just started reading, and I went to new bookstores, but I like discovering books, that it could be just a year old, but they still need love, and somebody else has passed them on. And I remember I got the Passion Test then, and then I started buying the new version for other people. But I got it; it was about a year or a year and a half old, and I was fascinated by it because passion changed my life. Like discovering my passion. Actually, I got tricked into performing stand-up comedies when I first discovered a passion, and that changed my life, and it helped me discover my purpose in the bigger picture. And so, can you tell us essentially what is that the heart of the Passion Test, and is this something you can sum up how people can find their passion quickly, or do they have to kind of go through the test and the assessment?
Well, passion, finding your passion, actually, one of the ways that I define it, because most people define it very differently, just aligning with your passion is aligning with higher power. So it's about knowing who you are and being able to tap into that, and really asking yourself, if all the world was saying yes to me, if everyone was saying, you can do it, and all the resources were available, what would you be, do, or have? What would be that thing that would get you out of bed in the morning, where you wouldn't be looking at the clock, where you would just be going, oh my God, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to share my gifts with humanity? Because that's what really following your passion is all about, is aligning with higher power, nature, the universe, the unified field, whatever name you want to put to that energy that is greater than yourself. And what I always tell everyone is that really, truly, it's not a mistake that you love what you love. The universe doesn't play tricks. So what is it that's constantly, and we all hear it. Just some of us push it out because we have limiting beliefs. That voice that says, I love singing, I love music, I want to do that, da, 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 da. And then our voice, right, that little ego mind comes up and it says, well, wait a minute, wait, what do you know about music? And there's already 5,000 musicians and singers, and you'll never be able to do that. And remember what your parents said, you've got to get a good job, and you need to make a living, and da, 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 da. And so we let all of that push that love down. So, I mean, basically, all of you could just ask yourself and write down the first question in the Passion Test to begin. When my life is ideal, I am. And then start thinking, and you really have to strip it down. You really have to get out of your head and put your Mickey Mouse ears on. That's what I tell everybody to do, because when you got your Mickey Mouse ears on, you're more of a child, and a child would not censor themselves. They're like, yeah, I want to go bicycling, and I'm going, regardless of whether there's a big hill or not. And, and just ask yourself, what do I love? What do I really care about? What is really speaking to me? And the hard part is for you to be you. You be you. Each of us are part and parcel, science calls it the unified field. And each of us has a role to play. We have our own gift that we're being asked to give. And actually, Corey, I always like to tell everybody, living your passion, it's not personal. It's about your part, your role that you are here to download and give to humanity. That's what living your passion is really all about. And so our job is to get quiet enough so that we can get really honest enough to get clear on if I could do anything, what would I be doing? And the hard part is that you're not responsible for the how. The how is, how am I going to be a New York Times bestselling author if that's your passion? Wait a minute, I don't even know how to write a book. Well, I don't know anything about editing. I don't know how to get a publisher, right? And all those, but you're not responsible for the how. That's God's job, nature, higher power, the universe. Your job, everyone's job is the what. What do I care about? What do I love? What would move me? What would just really shake my world? And if I were doing that, I would wake up every morning just feeling so grateful. And so really it's actually very simple. And so you make a list. Just start making a list. Don't censor yourself. That's the hard part, because the mind will immediately start having all these limiting beliefs coming up. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, wait, my teacher said I suck at that. My dad said I'm not as good as my brother at that. And all these things come up. You just got to out, and just start writing it down and make a list of about 10 things that you would love to do. And words are really important. Your word is your wand. So, for instance, if you want to be an author, when my life is ideal, I'm a New York Times bestselling author, right? And be very clear. What do you want? Do you want to be an author? Or do you want to be a New York Times bestselling author? If you want to travel to, around the world, do you go, when my life is ideal, I'm traveling? Or would you put, when my life is ideal, I travel to luxurious and beautiful places all over the world, right? And get real clear and put in those words that really define it, like outrageous and great and fabulous and wonderful, because that will really stir your soul. And that is what I would suggest all of you do. Make a list of 10 and then just start. If I could have one, which feels better, number 1 or number 2? In the Passion Test, we have 3 questions, but you could just start with the first one. Which feels better, number 1 or number 2? And just get real clean with yourself. And then whatever one you choose, which feels better, number 1, maybe it's number 1 you chose, or number 3. And then if it's number 3, then you just keep going, which feels better, 3 or 4. And you work yourself, and then circle the 1, and there you go. Ding, number 1, passion. And, the one thing that gets in the way of anyone living a passionate life, and it's the only thing, because all of us are here to live our greatness, and all of us have greatness in it. I haven't been with one person that I didn't see had the potential to really light up the world with their gifts. And the only thing that gets in the way is our monkey mind that starts those limiting beliefs going. And that's why in my program, I help people to undo their limiting beliefs, because that's like a brick wall that stops you on the way to living a passionate life. And where the heck did my buddy go?
He's back.
Drop out. Hey, Ken.
Back. I was just going to put him into the room, but I think Heidi can do that quicker than me.
You know what was cool, Corey? When Ken was taking my program, he's writing his list of passions, and it said, when my life is ideal, I'm the top transformational leader in Japan. And I looked over his shoulder, not because I was very interested. He's so famous. He's sitting in my room. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's so, he's already famous. What does he want? And then I looked at it and I said, is that enough for you? Just to be in Japan? And he went, huh? I said, what about the world? And that was it. Kaboom. And look at him. It's just what you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. And if you're always thinking, you're putting your attention on, I suck, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, this is impossible, then that's where all of that powerful real estate that you've got, that beautiful power of yours goes to. But be like a samurai and put your attention like Ken does. Ken doesn't doubt. He doesn't doubt himself. He's like, okay, I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to be a top transformational leader in the world. And next thing you know, Ken's a top transformational leader in the world because he knows that he can do it. He can do it. And all of us can do it. And all of us are here to give our gifts. And maybe it's simple. Maybe it's not to be a big transformation leader. Maybe it's when my life is ideal, I'm planting beautiful flowers that I can share with others. Or I'm the best mother, that I possibly can be. I mean, all we want to do is get everybody back to stripping it down. What do you love and care about?
And how can we learn more, by the way? Let you guys both go, but how can we learn more? Just if people want to get the book, where would they get it? Any parting things as far as how we can connect with you in the future?
Janet?
www.thepassiontest.com, or you can just email me, janet@thepassiontest.com, if you have any questions. And I'm just so honored to be with all of you here. I mean, the fact that you're all here says so much about you and your own self-love, because you could have been a lot of places tonight or today, wherever you are in the world, but you came here to feed yourself with hopefully some wisdom that will lighten your load, huh?
Amazing. And how about yourself, Ken?
You can find all the information at kenhonda.com. You Google Ken Honda. You can find all the fun information. And also, I have a lot of YouTube interviews, so you can get them for free. And thank you so much. And Laura, you've been typing so much. Thank you, Laura, for just helping us just clarify what we said. So Corey, Janet, and everybody else, I love your presence. I love the energy in this room. So thank you so much for hosting us. And I'm just sending you lots of happy energy from Japan. Just all the happy money energy to you.
We so appreciate you, Ken, and Heidi will save the chat as well for us. So thank you so much. I so appreciate both of you. Till next time, I'll call it a to be continued.
Love to you, Corey, and great success with you, all that you're doing. Love to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both. Thanks, everybody,
Bye-bye.
for joining us. Till next time.